Hello, welcome to Matters of Decorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. There's a lot of what matters to me. 8 years ago, roughly, February 23rd, 2015, uh, I posted my first Matters of Decorum, the lightsaber nunchuck episode. And 8 years ago, roughly. And I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination, but welcome to episode number 300. It's been a while coming. I've had some dry spots, but just kept plugging along and got here. It is, as I record this, November 19th, 2023. This week, we celebrate Thanksgiving in the United States. And it cannot be a coincidence that my 300th episode happens on the week of Thanksgiving. I've been pondering what I'm going to be doing with this episode. There's a lot of possibilities. I could have gotten big and flashy, or gone into depth in something that I've only touched on briefly earlier. But tonight, this episode, I'm going to thank some folks. I'm going to thank a number of them by name. I'm going to thank a number of them by the group that they're in or by associations. Yeah, because it seems important at the moment to properly address the people who have helped me get to 300 episodes and the people who helped me get to my first episode to begin with. I'm going to start by thanking my dad. No longer with us. We lost him in 2011. But the things that I talked about, the lightsabers and nunchucks, both of those are things that I came to be aware of because my father cared enough about his passions to share them with me. Star Wars, we discovered Star Wars together. It was transformative. It changed how he and I viewed movies together. We hadn't got along all that particularly well before then. Not always after that, but Star Wars was one of our common grounds. So were Bruce Lee movies. We discovered Enter the Dragon once we got early proto-cable back in the early 80s. And Bruce Lee movies, another thing that my father and I could get together over. And I finally discovered there were things he could share with me and that we could share together. So that whole first episode, that would not have happened if my dad hadn't taken the time to share his interests. And over the time that we did have together, shared a lot more. My love of food and some of my fashion sense. And yeah, I have to thank my dad, my mom, obviously, because I wouldn't be here. Well, both my mom and my dad contributed to my presence. My mom did not have an interest in the things that interested me, but she didn't let that stop her from encouraging them, from taking me to craft stores and buying me these weird little books for, things like Traveler and Dungeons and Dragons, and helping me buy miniatures. She would go to craft stores all the time. Those were often places where you'd find role-playing game stuff, and she'd throw a couple of things in her basket just to keep me happy for having gone along with her. And it made up for all the times she dragged me to fabric stores. I still can't stand going to fabric stores. So thank you, Mom. You might actually see this, or at least you'll see it pop up on my Facebook feed. My whole family. I have gotten a lot of wonderful support from my brother and his family, and there's the people I live with. I have to thank my wife, Annalisa, because she puts up with me. And to be perfectly honest, there's a lot of stuff I'm just useless at anymore. Paperwork and finances and things like that. I'm a creative, and kind of a brain dead creative most times these days. And all that other stuff with all the medical stuff and all the insurance and all the paperwork, everything. My wife is on top of that every single minute, while holding down her day job and her other day job. She not only manages these apartments that we live in, but is the office manager for the company that owns the building. And uh, she's just fecking astonishing at the job and at anything she chooses to do. I married an overachiever. I married someone who is very crafty and very creative in her own right. Different sort of creativity than I exercise. My creativity is mostly in my brain and my typing and my words, and she creates with her hands and knits and sews. And I think she's collected different forms of crafting over the years, crochet, egg painting, upholstery, just this huge variety of stuff. And it astonishes me every day. Uh, does a lot of the cooking and just basically keeps us alive here. So, yeah, thank you, Anna. And of course, I got to thank Andrew, my son. Um, One, for demonstrating that I was capable of doing at least one thing right in my life. Uh, and proving every day that every moment of it was worth it. Uh, but more than just his existence validating mine, Andrew is always there with ready to do things I need done, to bring me things that I need brought to me, especially days that I can't walk so well. Those days do exist. Um, Down to being my IT guy and helping me maintain my computer. He built the one that I'm using at the moment. And being a good friend. I am lucky enough to have a son who I not only love, but I also really like. He's a good guy. And that alone also validates me. I have an amazing group of friends. I mean, I have a number of groups of friends. Sometimes I manage to get the groups together. It's not always, but one of these days I'm just going to have a big party and see how many of them I can get in one place at one time. That's going to be fascinating. I've mentioned these groups of friends here. My friend groups have names. It's easier to identify them and to refer to things that they do that way. There's Warriors of Wednesday. Wayne, Al, Josh, Jonathan, Andrew is a member of that group. We've had a few people join up and depart for one reason or another. We've lost one or two members over time. That group evolved from a group that used to meet over at my friend Mandy's house. And that had a rotating membership, but we had this core group, since before Andrew was born, over 20 years ago. And this is that group still gathering, still doing things together at the moment, mostly online gaming, a little role playing every so often. Once a week if I manage it, on Wednesdays. Traditionally the night that the group met, and still kind of the night that we are the most ourselves. There is the Manhattan Beach group. Mike, Ross, Vic, Johnny, Brian, Dave. I'm pretty sure I'm not forgetting anyone there. My brain's a little fuzzy sometimes. That sounds right. Played with them on Saturday. The group that got together at Mike's house over in Manhattan Beach. We call it Mike's Garage Group for the longest time, but Manhattan Beach Group also works pretty well for me. One of those groups of gamers I just trust to the point where I don't care what level stuff is that I throw at them. They'll deal with it. And they'll deal with it in ways I never imagined possible. Some of the most creative people I've ever met. Also some of the more successful professional people I've ever met. Just a great group. The layer action. Candace, Walker, Robin, Nick. A much younger group than the normal folks that I hang out with. When I met them, a group that was literally half my age, and a whole new perspective, a whole new set of cultural influences and ways of experiencing things, a whole different view on gaming, and they have changed how I look at things. A group that I like doing creative work with. We spend time writing together. Uh, Not just because it's something that we hope to put out there at some point in time, but because I really enjoy writing with these people. Um, and thank the Lord that Candace is a type A organizational person, on top of being super creative. It's an amazing combination, because she actually manages to keep everything together. And another group I don't mention as often as I probably should, my patrons, via my Patreon. Those folks, I am never sure whether to use their names or their email addresses or the handles on the Discord. We'll just refer to them as my patrons at the moment. There's not a lot of them, but it is a very good, tight knit little group. Hi guys. Um, Again, group we have lost at least a member one of. Uh, I will mention Jeremy because he was, like most folks in the group, a really good friend and a creative individual that I really enjoyed interfacing with. Losing him hurt a lot. But the rest of the group is, I need to do more with that group and for that group. And my creative output has dropped off quite a bit. I know that, but they're still with me, still hanging out, still participating, and still friends. Cannot have enough friends. Uh, and there are so many others. Those are the main groups, but that friend Devin, she used to be asleep on the futon when there was a futon in the office while I was doing some of the recordings. Who's kind of been around a couple of those groups and is just so amazingly helpful and bakes such amazing cookies. Um, Occasionally with a little something extra in them for those times when I hurt. And those are also amazingly good, and they've come in clutch more than once. My friend Gina, who helped me stay healthy while I could still walk pretty well, and we shared some interests. And one of those people who I can talk about H.P. Lovecraft until I'm blue in the face, and I'll talk about the things that he wrote and the concepts and the philosophies behind it. Gina could not only keep up with me on that, but then she'd break into what Lovecraft's favorite cheese was and how much of it he ate every week. And she had has an encyclopedic knowledge of um, the letters that he wrote. And it, one of those people, it's just amazing to know. So many people. The folks I know on Facebook, some of you may have found me through there. The folks who met me because I was in the Dungeon Masters, the documentary, 2008. Time flies, doesn't it? 2008, the Dungeon Masters was 15 years ago. And every time I think that that number is just way too big and it couldn't possibly be, I remember Andrew in it, barely coming up to my waist. And now he's the really big guy across the hall who takes care of stuff. This has been a kind of incredible journey. And I am thankful to still be here. I'm thankful for a long list of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals who have seen to it that I am still here through any number of health issues I have had to deal with. Depending on how long you've been following me here, you've seen me go through a number of those. Notably, I'll just mention the cancer and the heart attack, a couple of things. And that brings me to one more group that I really have to thank, and that is you folks. I do not have a large enough following on YouTube to monetize my videos. These are videos that I do just to get out there, just to have a presence, just to say things. And I don't mind that at all. Not being monetized by YouTube gives me a certain freedom of expression. There are subjects I can cover that YouTube would demonetize me for if I was making anything off of these. I back before they changed the policies, and I was ostensibly making some money. Never saw any of it. AdSense is weird. Every time I would talk about someone who had passed or something like that, that's sad. You can't monetize that, so we're just giving you the yellow symbol instead. I appreciate not having to worry about that, actually. So thank you, YouTube. But thank you also to my YouTube audience. Thank you to those people who follow me and who watch and appreciate what I have to say. More than I do most days, to be perfectly honest with you. It's been a journey. And that journey's far from over. From here, things get interesting. Maybe I branch out a little bit, or maybe I just focus down really hard and make these as good as I possibly can. Do a little more digital trickery. Maybe something to make my environment look a little bit less like someone who's sitting here suffering from cancer and a heart attack. Not better. 2023 is mostly over. Thursday, I'll be having a lovely Thanksgiving brunch with my mom, Anna and Andrew. And we're just going to spend some time sitting back, enjoying one another's company, and probably yelling because mom's hearing is going out. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, or whatever you observe in the near future. I hope that you have a life of inspiration with wonderful people around you to support you, or at least watch and see what happens. I think I'm going to finish my ginger ale and call it a night. Dialysis in the morning. I'm very thankful for the dialysis clinic. Not just because it keeps me alive, but I've got a really good clinic. I've scored so hard. The clinic that is closest to me, that is easiest for us to get to, has amazing people. Just amazing people. And even when things do not go as smoothly as they possibly could, they're on top of it, they are dealing with it, and they have seen to it that I am as comfortable as possible and that I'm well taken care of. It's not something I was expecting to have with my life, but then again, what has been something I've expected to have in this life? It's another day, one day at a time. Thank you very much for following me along in this particular thankful ramble. I'm DeCorum. This is what has mattered to me. And now, over to Uncle Drac for the outro. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, give it a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If there's any other topics you would like to hear Scott talk about, questions you'd like him to answer, subjects you'd like him to cover, please leave a comment down below. He will love getting your comment and you will love leaving him one. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, why not? This channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the little notification bell so you're alerted when these videos become available. If you would like to support this channel in a more substantial manner, we invite you to hit us up at the Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows us to create better content more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.